Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Introducing NSTC Membership. Before we get started today, I want to share this disclaimer with you. Statements and responses to questions about advanced microelectronics research and development programs in this webinar are informational, pre-decisional, preliminary in nature. Do not constitute a commitment and are not binding on NIST or the Department of Commerce, and are subject in their entirety to any final action by NIST or the Department of Commerce. Lastly, nothing in this presentation is intended to contradict or supersede the requirements published in any future policy documents or notices of funding opportunity. And at this time, I would like to introduce you to Deidre Hanford, NatCast CEO, who will give an overview of the CHIPS program as well as NatCast and the NSTC. Deidre?
Thank you, Giselle. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all about the membership structure for the National Semiconductor Technology Center. We've spent many months getting to this really exciting moment, and this webinar is going to fill you in on a lot of the important details of the values of membership, as well as some of the specifics of joining. But first, we need to kind of orient you. How did we get here, and what have we been up to? So we'll start with this chart you've seen before in many of our NatCast webinars, and that really orients you on the CHIPS and Science Act. So first of all, of the $52 billion in the CHIPS and Science Act, there's $39 billion in incentive grants. Those are for building fabs around the country and other exciting announcements we've seen from the CHIPS Program Office. On the right-hand side, you'll see $2 billion for the Department of Defense Microelectronics Commons. We're very excited to have a joint meeting with them at the end of October. But in the middle, you'll see the $11 billion for CHIPS and Science Act research and development. And this is really where we're going to focus our time and energy today, and where the NSTC sits. So there are 4 CHIPS R&D programs that are run out of the Department of Commerce. The National Semiconductor Technology Center, that is actually run and operated by NatCast. So the NSTC is a public-private consortium. NatCast is the operator for the NSTC. In addition to the NSTC, we'll talk much more about that in the program today. We have 3 other Department of Commerce CHIPS programs: the packaging program, the Manufacturing USA program, which is focused on digital twins, and then the CHIPS for America metrology program. And so these 4 pieces really represent not just what our other programs in CHIPS Program Office are about, building capacity and building supply chain security here in the United States. These programs are about the future of semiconductor in the United States. So let's talk more about what's happening in the NSTC. I want to share with you our vision and goals. This is a really wonderful vision slide that was captured in the NSTC vision document published in April of 2023. The NSTC will become an essential resource within the semiconductor ecosystem, leveraging its network of scientists and engineers, state-of-the-art facilities, and collaborative programs to deliver large-scale technical achievements and impact. So there's really many important points in any vision statement. What I think is really important here is to focus on today is this notion of the semiconductor ecosystem. That's where you all are involved, hopefully as current or future NSTC members. So our goals for the NSTC really are threefold: extend U.S. semiconductor leadership, reduce the time and cost to prototype, and build a robust workforce ecosystem. So in the next few minutes, I'd like to dig into these topics further. On extending U.S. semiconductor technology leadership, there are many, many important aspects to it. But as we heard from Secretary Raimondo many times, this is in fact driving semiconductor leadership into the future. And we really want to extend our leadership in semiconductors by identifying and advancing really promising research initiatives in really key core areas of our segment. We have a number of strategic objectives here, But what we're really trying to do is take great ideas and bring them forward to enhance their ability to be successful in the market. And we're doing that in a number of ways. We've got Jumpstart research programs. We'll talk more about those in a coming slide. We'll be establishing our NSTC research agenda. That's where you all as members will be very involved. We're going to be commissioning longer-term research programs. Those will either be NatCast or NSTC commissioned, or would be member-driven programs. And of course, we'll be bringing the industry together to address key questions that we have about where to focus our time and energy. Our objective with the NSTC R&D Jumpstart programs is to really start to engage the community and build capability and competency and trust in our processes as we go. So back in the early summer, we launched our AI-driven RFIC design call for proposals, and we're really excited to be in the final selection for the program and hope to make announcements in the very near future. And we expect to get started on those programs and those projects in the January timeframe. Our second call is currently under solicitation. So if you're watching this webinar before October 21st, hurry up and get your proposals finished. If you're watching it afterwards, I'm sorry, the proposal door closed on October 21st. This is a really exciting project around developing community assets for NSTC members around test vehicles. We're very pleased about the early reception we've gotten on this program, and we look forward to make announcements on those proposals once they're in and have been selected. And we anticipate getting this project off the ground in April of 2025. Coming soon is a call on PFAS. That's one of those forever chemicals that shows up in many places, including in the manufacturing process. So we anticipate releasing a call for proposals on PFAS in the coming weeks. And we're very excited about focusing on developing and improving methods to reduce, measure, and abate PFAS emissions in semiconductor manufacturing. This is a really exciting early project because this is a challenge that the entire industry face, and it truly is one of those programs where banding together and working on these problems can make a huge difference rather than having individual companies address this on their own. Having early R&D projects are enabling us to get started and start working with the ecosystem. The next step is to really establish our long-term research agenda. And I'm so excited to let you know, in case you missed it, that Dr. Robert Chow has joined NatCast as the National Semiconductor Technology Center's Senior Vice President of Research. He's already running strong and is really excited about working with the community to establish that research agenda so that we can get along and start moving on some very, very big challenges we face together in the industry. Our second goal is reducing the time and cost to prototype. And this, we haven't talked much about this yet in the NSTC or NatCast webinars, but we have a number of strategic objectives. We'll be establishing facilities. We talked about establishing 3 facilities back in the July timeframe, and we're actively involved in site selection for those facilities. We look to establish member-driven shared resources like a design enablement gateway and silicon aggregation services. And we're also planning to stand up an investment fund. Each of these initiatives is part of the second goal, are really geared toward helping the next generation of innovations get advanced and hopefully come to market. And we're very excited about all the different ways through facilities, digital and physical assets, where we believe we can have a huge impact helping promising ideas advance further. Our next area of focus is around workforce. This topic comes up in pretty much every single conversation. And we announced several weeks ago our Workforce Center of Excellence. That Center of Excellence will really be an anchor institution for many topics, as you see highlighted in the yellow strategic objectives. We have a number of guiding principles for the workforce COE, and that's really increasing employer access to talent. We need to be very employer-driven, but also increase individuals' aspect to opportunity in our industry. We think that there's a lot of real potential here to put some focus on enhancing the semiconductor workforce in our country. If you look at a report that the Semiconductor Industry Association published back in July of 2023, if we don't change our velocity, we're going to have a fairly substantial shortfall of 67,000 workers in our field by the year 2030. And this goes across a number of different domains: technicians, engineers, researchers, and we need to do a number of things to really change that direction. We need to make sure that folks understand and have visibility in our wonderful industry, that employers articulate the types of skills that they need developed in universities or in community colleges, and that we really make sure that we attract folks to our magnificent field so that they can build the great careers that all of you are building in the semiconductor space. So the Workforce Center of Excellence really has a number of different program areas. You can read more about it here or in our press information, but we really want to make sure in these three areas: signals, amplifier, and connections, that we think about how do we discover best practices, how do we share data, how do we find insights about programs that work really well and enhance them. In that regard, with the amplifier program, we want to try and identify programs that really are ready to scale further than just whatever initial state they're in. And then on the connection side, we really want to make sure that employers and regions have the tools that they need to advance their workforce initiatives. And sometimes, understanding how to connect an employer with a community college, or how to take a training class and put it on hyperdrive because there's an employer that's trying to ramp up in a region. We really think that there's a number of very practical things you can do by just better connecting individuals out there in the market. So we talked about our Workforce Center of Excellence broadly. You may have seen an announcement earlier in October about the Workforce Partner Alliance program. This was a program that we just announced 7 winners of up to $11.5 million. Essentially, these are programs that are focused on workforce in the industry where we think there's a huge advantage to scale them. And we think that these programs should be integrated very well with regional ecosystems and have a large industry support. So let's take a look at where we ended up on this very first Workforce Partner Alliance Program award selections. So the states in dark blue are ones that are winners of those grants. And those in light blue are states where these grants will also have impact. So you can see with a reasonable amount of money, $11.5 million, we've reached a number of states that have strong presence in semiconductor. And also we've had a great opportunity with this Workforce Partner Program to touch a number of different communities in the workforce space: universities, community colleges, the educators themselves, K through 12, and industry upskilling. So we feel really good that in this first program, we had very strong geographic distribution and very strong distribution in terms of the types of programs that we're looking to further scale with these grants. So in the last few minutes, we've covered a whole host of topics. One being where we want to take our research agenda. These early Jumpstart projects are going great, and we're excited about looking forward to our full-bore research agenda and starting to solve some of the big grand challenges we face as an industry. We'll also be looking at ways to help folks with great ideas take their ideas further so we can build the next generation of brilliant inventions that truly fuel our economy today. And then on the workforce program, we're excited about our ability to impact the workforce of tomorrow by having folks know about our field, by having folks get better training, being industry and employer-led, and really finding ways to share data so that we can all move faster as an industry. And you can see in this 4-year view, we got started in 2022 when the CHIPS and Science Act was signed into legislation. The NSTC was really established back in February when we signed off on the consortium agreement. we've been spending a lot of time since then really listening to the industry and getting started. And you may have heard me talk about a long, hot, busy summer. Now we're into just as busy of a fall. And I think it's really exciting to see some of our early R&D projects launch, our workforce initiative get off the ground. And today, what we're going to talk about even more is the fact that you all are now in a position to join us officially, and that's through our membership program. So at this point, I want to thank you for getting a quick recap on what we're doing with NSTC here at NatCast as the operator, and hand the floor over to my colleague, Susan Find.
Thank you, Deirdre. There's certainly been a lot going on, and I have to agree with Deirdre's remarks. It's been quite exciting for us. We've been so inspired by the remarkable and overwhelming positive response we've had since the launch of the NSTC membership just 2 short weeks ago. Of course, this wouldn't have happened without the passion and input from so many of you throughout the ecosystem. From companies across the value chain to academia to workforce and others within this space, your input helped make the NSTC membership model something that's inclusive, accessible, and brings value to all. With the investment being made through the CHIPS and Science Act, not only in manufacturing, but in R&D to stand up the NSTC, we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to create the technologies that transform the world and develop the workforce to realize it. As Deirdre shared earlier, the overarching goal for NSTC membership is to build a vibrant and engaged program and community that has broad representation across the ecosystem and drives US-led innovation to commercialization, maximizes collaboration, and contributes to the long-term financial sustainability to ensure enduring value. As I mentioned, the NSTC membership model was developed through conversations with and input from industry stakeholders like each of you. In addition, we opened a community of interest survey earlier in the spring and benchmarked against other membership models, in industry consortia and research programs. And from this, 4 guiding principles were established in developing our membership model. Foremost, we wanted it to be accessible. And by that, accessible to a diverse semiconductor ecosystem, including industry, academia, government, and more. From industry, we want to make sure that we have broad representation across the value chain, from the materials and substrate suppliers to the end user. In order to be inclusive and accessible, we need to ensure the pricing framework is appropriately structured for entities of all sizes. The second guiding principle is that membership has to be valuable. We need to ensure that we're delivering value to all our member groups. Given that we just noted that membership should be inclusive and consist of broad and diverse ecosystem representation, we recognize that these entities have varied needs, interests, and expectations from membership. Therefore, we need to offer a value proposition that's attractive to all. We also need to ensure that we're leveraging existing resources and differentiate where appropriate to ensure we provide unique value. The membership structure needs to be simple to understand and easy to apply for, with efficient sign-up, renewals, and access to a la carte offerings. And finally, we want to be connected to facilitate members' access to organizations throughout the semiconductor ecosystem and other CHIPS funding initiatives, including the NAPMP, the metrology program, and Manufacturing USA Digital Twins. But even beyond that, to other public and privately funded programs related to semiconductor research and workforce development. I mentioned the guiding principle of accessibility a moment ago. To be successful, NSTC membership must be as diverse as the industry it represents. With 2 membership categories, core and affiliate, we're seeking to engage a broad set of organizations from across the ecosystem. Core membership is designed for entities directly involved in semiconductor-related technology development, including the design of materials, tools, chips, or systems that use semiconductors. The full suite of NSTC offerings will be available to the core members. Core membership will provide opportunities for collaboration with other NSTC members, access to NSTC facilities, programs, and resources, and access to workforce development best practices, and initiatives through the Workforce Center of Excellence that Deirdre described earlier. We envision core membership including entities such as companies including large and small corporations from various sectors, system companies, semiconductor IDMs, foundries, fabless design, packaging and manufacturing, suppliers of equipment, EDA tools, IP companies, and material companies. We also envision that core membership will include academic institutions that are conducting semiconductor-related research. We'll engage research labs that are conducting semiconductor research, and nonprofit entities with an emphasis on semiconductor R&D. The other category of affiliate membership is designed for entities that are not directly involved in semiconductor technology development or design, but who would like to participate and contribute to the ecosystem in areas such as workforce, investments, consortia, or professional services. Affiliate members may include workforce stakeholders, including academic institutions not focused on semiconductor research, as I noted, workforce intermediaries, and other workforce-related organizations. They could also include investors, including VC firms, private equity firms, incubators, and other investment entities. They can include professional services such as consulting, legal, accounting, marketing, or other professional services, and other nonprofits that are related to semiconductor ecosystem, but not necessarily conducting R&D. We've classified NSTC membership offerings into 3 pillars: innovate, collaborate, and educate. Innovation is a key aspect of our mission to ensure that all members have the opportunity to innovate and develop their ideas. Towards this goal, NSTC will offer research awards, including the early jumpstart projects, which Deirdre mentioned previously. We'll have more of these in addition to other types of research funding opportunities in the future. We'll facilitate engagement with member-led and NatCast-led projects. In order to realize and mature your ideas, we'll also provide access to infrastructure, including prototyping facilities, a design enablement gateway, and silicon aggregation services. And there'll be more to be identified as the NSTC research agenda is built out with your input. The second area of collaboration will encourage a collaborative environment by promoting and facilitating teamwork and cooperation among members and collaborative research. We'll convene the community in physical and digital spaces to share ideas and create strong connections across the community. From an education perspective, we're dedicated to fostering education and knowledge sharing through a comprehensive range of offerings. These offerings include seminars, research reports, workforce awards, and programs led through the Workforce Center of Excellence. These offerings will disseminate knowledge, share best practices, and spark fresh ideas to foster the workforce of today and tomorrow. In addition to these offerings, members will also have access to concierge services that will help them to navigate the landscape of resources available through their NSTC membership, as well as provide connected pathways to CHIPS Act opportunities and complementary programs and resources offered by key partners throughout the ecosystem. We understand that there are many opportunities available. It's an exciting time to be in this industry, and we want to make sure that you're aware of and able to leverage the opportunities or capables which are right for you. And here we're looking into more detail of the specific offerings or benefits to members in the areas of innovate, collaborate, and educate. Here you can see the benefits that we have defined at the time of membership launch. We anticipate benefits and opportunities will expand as membership evolves, and we continue to hear the needs and priorities of our members. Looking at this slide, I won't read each benefit, but provide a brief summary. This time we'll begin with the educate pillar. As you can see, this includes access to information and events, eligibility for awards, and engagement with the Workforce Center of Excellence. The area of collaborate includes access to conferences and events, participating in communities of interest, helping to identify and prioritize roadmaps and areas of focus for the NSTC, developing professional and business networks, teaming and co-development opportunities to learn from and work with other members, and co-location in neutral NSTC facilities. In the realm of innovation, you'll be eligible to receive funding for promising research and to bridge gaps to accelerate commercialization. You'll have access to facilities and resources to test, validate, and de-risk new materials, equipment, and technology. You can see on the right what benefits are included for affiliate and core membership categories. Let's take a look at the next slide for anticipated availability of these benefits from a timing perspective. On this slide, you can see we've gotten off to a great start in 2024, as Deirdre likes to call it, our long, hot summer. And that has certainly continued into this fall. We've already launched R&D and workforce funding opportunities that Deirdre described. We've announced the Workforce Center of Excellence and the application for the Workforce Advisory Board. We're hosting focus groups, workshops, conferences, and convenings already. Along with membership, which launched on September 30th, we also opened the application and submission process for the NSTC Technology Advisory Board. We plan on having our initial tab formed by the end of the calendar year. However, note that in order to serve on the tab, you must be from a member entity. I'd like to highlight a few key milestones offerings for the future. In 2025, members will have access to the Workforce Center of Excellence, additional research grants, as well as our Design Enablement Gateway and Silicon Aggregation Services, which will be stood up next year. In 2026, we'll again have more research funding awards, but we'll have our investment fund stood up and be able to offer our members the opportunity to co-locate in NSTC facilities. Beyond 2026, we'll have our flagship front-end and packaging prototype facilities available for members to use. As we noted previously, we recognize that NSTC members will benefit from their membership in various ways, and this slide highlights many of them. That said, we've identified several of the offerings which we believe will benefit all members. We expect all members to help inform and guide the research agenda and NSTC priorities. They will have unique ecosystem insight of trends and help develop the technology roadmaps for the future. All should take advantage of the opportunities to collaborate on R&D. The challenges today are more complex, and collaboration and co-optimization across the full stack is essential to accelerating innovation. Members will have the ability to develop cross-ecosystem connections and collaboration. They'll have access to new technologies and IP that is developed through the NSTC. And members will have access to the Workforce Center of Excellence data, best practices, and perhaps most importantly, the skilled talent and expertise that will be realized through the many programs. As you can see, there are many benefits that members may take advantage of depending on their specific needs. Like I said, we want to be sure we're offering something or some things for everyone. And of course, as I described before, there is the membership concierge services, which stretches across all NSTC offerings and beyond. Next, I'd like to talk briefly about the eligibility requirements. So all members must be of a legal entity. So individuals and sole proprietors are not eligible for membership in the NSTC. NSTC members shall have a meaningful U.S. presence at the time of membership and maintain a meaningful U.S. presence. Member entities may not be from a foreign entity of concern or from a foreign country of concern. These entities are not eligible for membership. We recognize that IP is one of our members' greatest assets. Our approach to IP in the NSTC membership agreement has a very light touch. Recognizing that not one size fits all, different approaches are needed for different programs and projects. NatCast is committed to taking a thoughtful and mutually beneficial approach to the various types of IP that will be generated through the NSTC research programs and member access to NSTC facilities. It's important for us that the IP policy provides guidance, yet maintains flexibility to accommodate the diverse objectives of NSTC's different program offerings. Additionally, the IP policy is intended to encourage active member engagement. Lastly, we expect for program performers to retain ownership of the IP they develop. However, generalizable insights, outcomes, and data may be shared with NSTC members to foster broader innovation. NatCast has designed the NSTC's membership pricing framework to accommodate a broad spectrum of organizations, ensuring inclusivity and accessibility for all members. NSTC membership pricing consists of 3 types of fees. The base fees pertain to the benefits previously outlined and available to core and affiliate membership. Core membership base fees are tiered. Depending on the core member segment, tiering is based on semiconductor revenues, total revenue, or federal R&D expenditures. Because there are certain benefits that not all membership may have a need for, such as facilities, the design enablement gateway, silicon aggregation services, or others, there will be access and usage fees depending on your desired level of engagement. Access fees will be tiered based on similar criteria to the base fee tiering. Usage fees will have the same fee structure across all members. Additionally, you may recall from the benefits timeline that not all benefits are available in year 1. Acknowledging this, we are discounting membership 66% in year 1 and 33% in year 2. So now's really the time to join and help guide the work going forward. You can find all the information about NSTC membership pricing on the NatCast website, natcast.org/NSTC membership. Rarely are there moments in an industry that are truly transformational or once in a lifetime, but today we're at one of those pivotal moments. Thanks to the efforts behind the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act, we do have an unprecedented opportunity to expand the scope and scale of our ambitions to reinforce U.S. leadership in semiconductor technology. In order to seize this opportunity, we must invest today in research for tomorrow's innovation. We need to collectively define the technologies of tomorrow and accelerate the pace of innovation from research to commercialization. We have the opportunity to transform our industry and for the U.S. to be at the forefront of semiconductor technology. We want to ensure that your organization is contributing to defining and realizing this vision. One upcoming event we'd like to make you aware of, which will occur on October 28th in DC, will be a symposium that we're hosting in tandem with DoD's ME Commons annual hub meeting. There you can hear from DOC, NatCast, and industry leaders on key topics and elements relevant to the NSTC. For those of you joining us in person or virtual attendance, please visit the natcast.org website to learn more. We look forward to having you join this important mission. Thank you for your time today. If you have any questions or would like more information, please visit our website that's listed here. Thank you again.